What's up, everybody? It's the Roundtable Sports Podcast. Today, we're taking a look back at 2019's top 50 plays from Jameis Winston. And it's not just the top 50 plays. There's also 20 of his 30 interceptions laced into these top 50 plays, so that you can get a full ride down the roller coaster that was Jameis Winston in 2019. And to be fair, the Buccaneers had a lot to figure out with Jameis Winston in 2019. It was his fifth year, and they had picked up the fifth-year option so that they could get a feel for what they were going to do going forward. And nobody could have predicted that Tom Brady was going to see these weapons and this team and head on down there to Tampa Bay at this point. So Bruce Arians and the rest of the Bucs front office had to figure out what they had here. So Jameis got a lot of leash. And as you can see, the reason that he got so much leash is his ability to push the ball down the field and his physical talents with the ball. Because as you can see, when things go right and when Jameis has enough time and the route is open and things go to plan, this guy can deliver a beautiful deep ball down the field and can put the ball where other quarterbacks simply can't. It's not just a situation that the old school NFL is concerned with having a big arm that can push the ball down the field. Everybody loves to have that in their quarterback. And with Jameis's feet not being stuck in mud and with his ability to move within the pocket and be able to get yards after, being flushed from the pocket, it was a situation you like to see, especially when the mobile quarterback movement hadn't really kicked off to the point that it's gotten to now. And with Mike Evans and Chris Godwin in tow here, you can see that Jameis put on a show. There's a reason that he got to 5,000 yards, because he was willing to throw the ball down the field no matter what the situation was, for better or for worse. And it bit him in the butt a couple of times, to say the least. 30 interceptions is certainly nothing to blink at. And it was part of the reason that he was so exciting to watch in 2019. When I would think about what game I was going to watch first, a lot of times the Tampa Bay Buccaneers would come up in 2019, because every throw was exciting. He was either whizzing it down the field and he was hitting Mike Evans in stride, or he was throwing it to the other team, or just making a lot of decisions that you can't really quantify or think of yourself. And that's a big reason that I included the interceptions in this highlight film, because it doesn't do him justice to just show throws like this. You have to see the other throws that really don't make a lot of sense. I tried to pair out a lot of the throws that, bounced off of somebody's hands or didn't really feel like that it was his fault. And I tried to hit round numbers as far as the 50 and the 20 plays go, but still, I felt like this mix really gave you a good idea of what it really was like to have Jameis Winston as your quarterback in 2019. And it's really for the Saints fans that challenged me when I put out the Taysom Hill video last week. They questioned whether Jameis Winston or Taysom Hill would be the starter, and that's certainly up in the air, especially with the news that came out this week that there is no solidified starter, and they still don't know exactly how it's going to go, because Taysom Hill was the one that got the 4 starts in 2020, instead of Jameis Winston. And Jameis got in there a little bit and looked a little rigid and looked like he was trying to do his Drew Brees impression, and he definitely has to walk a line between doing a Drew Brees impression and being Jameis Winston, because part of what makes him successful is his ability to do those things I outlined, where he's using his big arm, he's using his mobility within the pocket, and his ability to kind of extend plays a little bit outside of the pocket. You need him to be doing those things, but also be making better decisions and, being more Drew Brees-like in that way. But you need to be Drew Brees with the arm, not, do an impression and really try to use your accuracy and make all the different short throws, because short accuracy and just accuracy overall isn't necessarily Jameis's game. He can do that on a lot of the deep throws, but it doesn't always transfer, and there's a lot of decisions that you just have to question overall. Sometimes the ball flutters a little bit. Sometimes it's just a lack of accuracy. Sometimes, he overrates what his arm can do. I don't even know what he was thinking on that last interception, but that's just kind of the roller coaster that you're signing up to ride, unless the Saints has really got under the hood and gotten his mind right in that year where he played backup to Drew Brees. Obviously, watching Drew Brees is going to help, no doubt, and Jameis needed a year to kind of get his head right after this year, because I got to think it's hard to throw for 5,000 yards and as many touchdowns as he did, but still, not be on NFL minds and not be thought of as a starter. I got to think that the Chicago Bears would have been better off bringing him in instead of, rolling it back with Mitchell Trubisky and Nick Foles, but that's how it goes. These decisions go how they go, and I don't think that Jameis would have really dealt well with Chicago's line anyway. So he went to New Orleans. He's trying to get his head right so he doesn't make throws like that, and that's why I included those throws in this video, because I wanted you to see just how raucous it could be, because like I said, this is appointment television in 2019. I couldn't wait to watch the film because he would just whiz the ball without really any sort of abandon, and then when the ball would be a little off target, things like that would happen. So I hope the video helps illustrate how both of these teams got here, the Bucs and the Saints. I mean, clearly the Bucs, got some good production out of Jameis, but when Tom Brady comes knocking, I think that's a situation that you have to go for, and certainly the Super Bowl really outlines that a good deal. But for Jameis, this was also predictable that, you play like this and, teams aren't really that stoked on bringing you in. So having that rehab year in New Orleans certainly had to be big for him, no matter what happens between him and Taysom in this battle. And I'm excited to see kind of how that battle plays out, because I think that both these quarterbacks offer, different types of NFL equations that can both work for the New Orleans Saints. It's just a question of how it looks, and has Jameis got his mind right? Has the LASIK make a difference? Can he really be himself and take advantage of his arm within the Saints system? Because I didn't like the way that Teddy Bridgewater kind of did a Drew Brees impression while he was in there, and I don't think that Jameis doing a Drew Brees impression is really what they're looking for, because I don't think Drew Brees could have made that throw at this point. And you have to let Jameis, be able to push the ball, but then again, you have to be smart so that he doesn't do things like that. And then Taysom offers the skill set where he's more dynamic with the ball in his hands, running the ball, and makes defenses think about, what he's going to do from that aspect. And then he's, thinking about throwing it over the top. He's not all that accurate either, and it's going to be interesting to see which way the Saints actually end up going. It was interesting to me that the Saints fans themselves automatically had already penciled Jameis into the starting role, and then to have the news story come out that it wasn't that solidified and that they were going to have a competition really made me feel good, because that's kind of what I had been thinking, and that's what all the different tea leaves that I had seen had really said. So the fact that that's what's happening is exciting, and I can't wait to see what it happens, because it's going to mean a lot for Alvin Kamara, for Mike Thomas, because, think about Mike Thomas getting balls thrown down the field like Jameis is able to throw them. That's going to be something that he hasn't had in his tenure at this point. Jameis is a little bit more limited in that aspect, but he also plays the position a little bit more like Drew Brees, in that he's not quite as careless and that he doesn't really have the turnovers exactly, except for both these guys fumble. That was also brought up to me in the Taysom video, that Taysom fumbles all the time, but if you're looking to get away from that, I don't know that Jameis is actually the answer, because when he is able to be gotten to in the pocket, the ball does squirt out a bit, so you have to watch out for that as well. The other problem with Jameis as far as being in the pocket is when, things aren't developing, he kind of gets frantic and his feet get wild, and then that's when he ends up making a lot of the bad decisions that he made in 2019. You got to hope that the Saints system is a little bit more set up for Jameis to be successful. There were a lot of option routes. There were a lot of complicated things that the Buccaneers did with Tom Brady that I have to wonder that if they tried to do that with Jameis Winston, is that what caused what happened here? And was the offense, a part of the blame for the way that Jameis Winston played in 2019, or was it a part of why he played so well because he had Mike Evans? Those things are all on my mind, and while I like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in 2019, they added a lot of different things in 2020 that made them successful. So what's the truth? Is Jameis, a turnover machine that can't be fixed, or did LASIK and the Saints fix him? I can't wait to find out. If he wins the job, it's going to be appointment television again, because I can't wait to see what he does to curb some of his worst instincts that he had in 2019. I'm glad that I included the interceptions here, so you had to ride the roller coaster of emotions that I rode in 2019. But I loved it because every time he threw the ball, it was exciting. You didn't know what was going to happen, and he wasn't afraid to make throws like that and really try and push the ball, and he had the green light. That's how he got to 30 interceptions. That's how Peyton got to as many interceptions as he did in his rookie year. You have to really have somebody going for it, and that's not a problem that Jameis has. I hope that he remains who he is, but, is able to fix what he needs to fix for the Saints, because that would be big. But I wouldn't discount Taysom Hill because his film looked good.